Folks, we got a red dot. Welcome back to Akron's hottest and fastest growing show, 3-Throw to Go. I'm your host, Hank, and I'm coming to you live with a panel of experts and a cat. When I say experts, I use that term loosely. But right now, we're going to meet our panel right now, and we're going to be discussing some United States and World Cup soccer right now. All right, so let's go around the horn. Bill, you first. Just tell everybody who you are.
Hey, everybody. My name is Bill. I am actually a high school teacher down here in Dayton, but I write for neosportsinsiders.com. I cover most of the soccer topics. All my boys have played soccer all throughout their elementary, all the way up through their high school, and one even potentially could have been at the collegiate level. But love the game, love the sport, and have been a big fan ever since when I was a kid, growing up in Little Italy in downtown Cleveland, and getting to watch Roberto Baggio. So this is a really cool time. Really looking forward to this, Hank. Thank you very much for the invite, and let's have some fun.
I love the way that they used to yell his name when he went to score. Roberto Baggio, Roberto Baggio. We knew, would this be his cup? In fact, that was 94. Wasn't that 94? That was 94, wasn't it?
Let's
94,
see.
98.
Yeah, and then Paolo Rossi was 82.
Okay. All right.
I have to think about that.
All right, Scott, say hey.
Hey, yeah, I'm Scott Ross. As you can probably tell by looking at me, I wasn't as much of a soccer player. I was that other football Americano, as they like to say down here where I'm from in Peru, or where I live, I should say, not where I'm from. But I came around and became a big fan of soccer, especially during my college years where I was fraternity brothers with two of these other guys. And during my time in Spain and now living here in South America, I've just been exposed to it in a grand scale, and man, what can I say? I get a lot of exposure to it, and I love it, and I've just become a fan of the sport. The way people respond to it in other cultures is crazy to see. Something that we don't quite get yet in the good old US of A, but I think this generation might hopefully get us there. So we'll see. I'm excited to be a part of this too, and talk about this next phase, especially in this cup, as this young team gets a chance to do something special.
So when you watch, do you prefer to watch it in English or do you watch Telemundo?
No, I watch it in English. Yeah,
okay,
if I can.
I was curious. All right, Jamie, tell us about yourself.
I am a middle school teacher in Kenton, Ohio. I am a soccer coach. I've been coaching at Kenton High School for the past 23 seasons. A soccer teammate of Hank while we were at Ashland University together. Fraternity brothers with these two guys. I've been involved with soccer as my kids grew up. I have a senior at the University of Cincinnati, and I coached him from the age of 4 on up till he went to the University of Cincinnati. And I got a daughter who's at Ashland right now herself. So soccer has been a great blessing to my life. I trace my days back to the old Cleveland French days when I would go watch them play indoor soccer down there, Hector Marinero, Zorn Carriage, and all those guys. And this has just been a wonderful World Cup so far.
Absolutely. And you know, I've mentioned on the network before that I played, but I don't think people actually know. I played all through the collegiate level, and I played semi-professionally after that. I played for 38 years before the wife said, okay, you still have your knees. Let's go ahead and retire now. So, and that's when I made the switch to old man softball permanently. But I did play at a very high level. I coached at a very high level as well. So, so we all have a nice rounded pedigree when it comes to having this discussion. All right. So I'm going to toss it out. We're going to go back around the horn backwards this time. All right, Bart. So, tell us about what were your initial thoughts when you saw Team USA, the lineup and the team that they were bringing to the World Cup?
You know, what I was telling people was I had 2002 vibes of where we were that young team that had the Brian McBrides and the Landon Donovans and, DeMarcus Beasley's. And what was our expectation going into that tournament? Who knew? We just knew we had some excitable dudes. And they made a great run in that 2002 World Cup. And if it weren't for Oliver Kahn, probably would have, been in that a little further in that tournament there. And quite honestly, that's kind of what I was hoping. And that's kind of what I was expecting when we saw the team that he laid out for us there. Greg takes a lot of flack for decisions he makes as a coach. He was hired to get us to the World Cup, got us to the World Cup. Hey, Greg, get us out of group stage. Okay, sure. I'll get you out of group stage there. He has done everything that we have hired him to do. He realizes we have some talent, but when people throw out that phrase golden generation, I like how he says, what have we done so far? You know, we're young. We haven't done anything yet. And boy, still got some excitable dudes out there. It's great to see guys playing over in the Premier League, playing in the Champions League. Our midfield looks fantastic. You know, when we have three guys out there that can control play and move the ball, I don't think we've seen a midfield like this since I've been watching the U.S. national team, and it is great to see them out on display and making some great things happen there. Fun to watch, fun young team. Just got to figure out a way to put the ball in the back of the net a few more times, and if we can figure that out, we're going to be moving forward.
Okay, Rue, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Bart. If I'm totally honest, I was very judgmental of Greg in the decision to bring Reem, especially. I wasn't sure about that just because I think the central defenders have been this area where we don't know what to expect from Greg a lot. Like people were like, why not Brooks? Brooks was a mainstay. Obviously, he did not fit Greg's style of play, or he would have been there. And it seems like his age is catching up to him because he's not even playing right now in Germany, as far as I can tell, if I'm not wrong. And Reem ended up probably being our best defender in the group stage. Like I never expected that. I thought he would be fine, and I wasn't even sure how much he'd play. But in the end, I think he was definitely our best central defender, and maybe our just best defender overall. I mean, Jetty's kind of in his own world sometimes too. But and I think that this midfield it's legitimately talented. And when we've got guys like Aronson who come off the bench, to replace Pulisic when he gets hurt, we got a guy like Gio Reyna who's hardly even seen the field. There's talent and depth at some positions, and that's the thing I think that makes a big difference right now is that depth. There's been years where we've had some pretty talented players, but rarely have we had the kind of depth that we have at multiple positions. There's still a couple positions, obviously striker and I think central defender, that we're, especially with injuries at central defender right now, where we're behind, and I think really having a shot at going all the way. But you never know in the World Cup. One game is all it takes. Everybody can get, momentum and steal a game.
Just look at the results today.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, why don't you go and expand on that for us?
So the big thing that I saw when I first saw everything is I think we all looked at the goaltenders, and I actually thought he got the goaltending right. I mean, I have no problem with the goaltenders there. The only thing that I had is we're having trouble scoring goals, and I understand what he's doing. I would like to have seen, number one, I wish Pepe would be in the lineup. I do think Pepe being in the lineup might have been helpful. I mean, looking back now in the past 3 games, but I thought he was the one who deserved to be on the squad. And the other one, and I don't know if Hank, if I talked to you about this or not, but I did an article on him. I like Brandon Vasquez with FC Cincinnati. I don't know why he never even got a call up. He's got everything that Berhalter likes. The only thing I can think of is maybe he's just a tad slow. But from a standpoint of just being a load and needing 2 guys to cover him, I don't understand why we didn't at least give him a look. But other than that, I tell you, you hit it right on. That midfield is outstanding. I mean, my boys were telling me the whole time, said, Dad, there's a reason why Tyler Adams is going to be the captain. And like, I always liked Tyler. He has just impressed the hell out of me, and so is Dest. I mean, I don't see Dest as much. I kind of see Tyler a little bit more, but Serginho has been really, really good. I'm concerned about some of the knocks that these guys have going forward, but really from a standpoint of the team selection, I really don't have a problem with it. And how can you argue when we've had 2 clean sheets? I mean, how can you argue with that? Clean sheets in the World Cup? Oh my gosh. If you were to tell me that we would have had 2 clean sheets in the Gold Cup or in the World Cup, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. And we've had 2. That's impressive, and that is to Berhalter and the guys that he chose, and even Carter Vickers, man. He really came up and played big. So I got no problem with the lineup.
Excellent, guys. Thank you. All right, so tournament overall thoughts so far. I mean, we all agree that it's been a great tournament so far, and there have been a number of surprises, and there's been a number of really good goals. You see really good goals. But let me ask you this real quick. And I think it's the proper pronunciation, according to what I've been told, is you say it as Qatar. It's so a lot of people say Qatar and a lot of people say Qatar. It's actually Qatar. All right. So the controversies going in. How do you guys feel that it's been covered? We knew about a lot of the things going in, and you've seen like different things in different spots and different segments. How do you feel that the network has covered the coverage of the tournament so far?
I didn't know what order you wanted to go here.
We'll start with Bill. Start with Bill.
Okay. I'm kind of been surprised. I mean, now I'm watching everything through Telemundo, so I actually enjoy listening to the Spanish broadcast. But after a lot of the things I've been reading on the stories that I've been kind of putting together, I really have been surprised at, and I'm sure FIFA has had probably something to say about this too. I have been surprised at the lack of the coverage of the number of people who have died building the stadiums. I have to be real honest. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember if I heard in the first game, like it might have been the Netherlands game, or it might have been even the US game. I did hear a couple of the announcers say something, but then other than that, it was almost like it was taboo. I was a little surprised in that. And then today, even today's game, I was kind of surprised to see how many there were. 2 female referees?
3.
And so
All 3.
3 of them. So I was
the
kind of
first time.
surprised to see that also, because I was expecting, this had to have been a FIFA thing, and it had to have been FIFA telling Qatar, look, you're going to have to deal with this. This is what we're doing. I thought that was an interesting thing that really wasn't talked about that much either, has been you can argue about if you think they've been good or not, but I think the having the women refs there is a significant talking point that has not been talked about enough.
Rue?
I think I point to 2 sources people could check out if they want to really dive into it that I think did it well. There was an ESPN Daily podcast episode on November 4th, and they talked about the human cost of the World Cup in Qatar. And they dive into a lot of really good stuff. And I believe they ended up doing an ESPN 60, whatever they call it, episode on that whole thing after it. I haven't seen the episode. That's harder for me to get here, Brew. But I did listen to the podcast, and it's excellent and really dives into a lot of information and goes into a lot of about kind of even some of the conversations that some different journalists have had with the different representatives from the country and other things. So I'd highly recommend that to people. Another podcast that I thought was really interesting, which gets more beyond just the Qatar element, but also just the corruption of FIFA as a whole, was a podcast called The Lords of Soccer. Also excellent. It really just talks about the history of the corruption in FIFA in general. But obviously in that is included this entire process with Qatar and what all that has meant. As far as the current coverage, I think Fox is obviously, doing a little bit more of what they're calling the sports washing, and they're the ones that have the contract, so they don't get a chance to probably, and I feel like ESPN as a result is kind of taking their pot shots at Fox to take a chance to, maybe be a little bolder about some of the statements that they make. And then, you've seen a couple of teams, but I saw today on Twitter a number of obviously folks from the Middle East who were upset about Germany and the stance that they took. And now they were celebrating that they got ousted, and telling them that this wasn't the place for them to make their statement. And now as a result, they get to go home. And there was a number of them that I saw making those sort of comments. So yeah, it's obviously out there, but I don't think that the major networks are doing much about it. And I think it's probably very intentional, other than, like I said, maybe ESPN, who's taken a little more bold of a step because they don't have the contract, so it doesn't affect them as directly.
All right, Bart, what do you think real quick?
I got to agree with those guys there. They're over there. They're covering soccer. It is a major story leading up to this about the thousands of deaths, okay, that did occur there. I know in class, I teach a global studies class. This is great. I've been able to bring the World Cup in, bring Qatar in, and talk about some of the controversies the host nation has actually had. But I'm also on U.S. soil, and I don't have to worry about anything that I'm talking about. What that fan ran on the field the other day, and he had the flag on, and he had a couple other things on. I want to know if he's still alive. Here you go. You do that in America, you're probably going to be okay. You do that in a foreign country where it's unacceptable. Where's he at? I kind of want to see him just to see if he's still breathing.
Yeah, and the players even said that after the game. They brought that up in their interviews. All right, I'm going to combine the next two questions. Okay, rapid fire. So, who's your biggest surprises, and what do you consider to be your darling team of the tournament right now? So we'll start with Rue.
Ooh, darling team or surprise? Well, I think the biggest surprise is the Belgium exit. I think it's got to be, right. I mean, you're talking about, again, Bart threw out that phrase, the golden generation. That's what everyone's talked about in Belgium for the last probably 6 to 8 years now. And here they are, they're home, and they're not even out of the group stage. Darling, Peruvians don't like them, but I think the Socceroos have got to be a darling team for some people. They're kind of fun and just not a typical team, and they played well. And probably Japan's another one I would say that people that are looking out and going, hey, that's kind of cool and different. And
Was
so,
that
yeah,
a
I'd say
goal?
those are
Was that a goal?
absolutely, that ball was still on the line.
Hey, me and the wife were. She was really upset because she's really German. Okay, and
Sure.
she's like that was so. I'm like, no, you gotta look. I said, there's like, it was like that much, like
One
straight.
blade of grass.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Bart, who's your darling and your surprise?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Japan here, man. Quite honestly, who would have thought that would have been the group of death? Here you had Spain, here you had Germany, and you just thought those two guys are going to coast into the next round. And Japan, surprises the world in game one, craps down their leg in game two against Costa Rica when coach says we're going to make 5 changes, and those 5 changes bite them in the butt, and then answer in the second half when they need to. I got to say Japan right now, and talk about just a respectable group of guys and coach and fans. I remember when we played them there in the lead up to the World Cup, and people were a little upset with our result from that game. And I got to say that result doesn't look too good right now after what they've done there in the World Cup there. I'd say the darlings right now, gosh, I'd almost give it to the continent of Africa after getting 0 teams out 4 years ago. Look at Morocco, for crying out loud. It's been exciting seeing what they are doing. To me, that nation might, that continent might be the darlings of the World Cup with the results that they're having. And who knows what's going to happen with Ghana and Uruguay tomorrow. They may get another one sneak through there.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. All right, what do you got, Bill?
Well, I was going to say I've been impressed with Morocco watching them. I mean, it's just they have talent everywhere, and I've just been really surprised at how well they played and to come out at number 1 of the group stage there. That wasn't an easy group. I'm not going to say it was a group of death, but boy, oh boy, that was not an easy group to get out of there. And I like that, but I it's not a darling. I mean, they're a favorite and everything, but take Ronaldo off, Portugal looks outstanding. I mean, they just look so, I mean, really, seriously, Ronaldo doesn't even need to play. If you take him out, I think Portugal looks and plays even better. It could very well get to, and I hate to pick a darling like that because I like the Morocco stories. I like the Japan stories. I like the Aussie story. Those are great. Senegal would be another one because I didn't even think they were going to be there. I didn't think they'd make it. People were even playing. Sadio Mane wasn't even going to be there, and son of a gun, here they are now, and they're still alive, and Mexico's not. I mean, oh boy. So there's a lot of great stuff, like you said, Hank, and right now it's just hard to pick one. But boy, I tell you, Morocco's been really good, and I have just been uber impressed with Portugal.
Yeah,
Obviously, Man United agree with you on that take Ronaldo out statement.
Well, he's there this year as Brian McBride, right? The McBride was too old to play, but they left him in because he'd score header goals once every 2 games or so, right? And look what Ronaldo's doing. He's, I mean, what it missed his little hair, right? I mean, he was right there for the goal, but and then they took it away from him. I was like, I'm like, how did what? And then they corrected it, so that was good. But so for me, my biggest surprises are the big four. The big four being, God, I listed them on a tweet today. You got Mexico, Belgium, Denmark, Germany. Having those four out right off the rip, it was like, oh, now it's like, it's kind of like March Madness in regards to all these big upsets. It's like a 2 seed beating a 15 beating a 2, right? So yeah, having that level playing field now, and having a bunch of these teams that are potentially overperforming, or as Bart said, they're just better than we even realized. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. I love chaos. Some people just like to watch. Some people like to watch the world burn.
And isn't this for Germany now, right? I know it is, but the last part is 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
But isn't that also 2 on the row on the heels of winning it, right? Because didn't they win it the one before that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
How do you go from winning it to then missing and not get? I mean, making it but not getting out of the group 2 times in a row? I mean, and it's not like they don't have the talent. Their team is loaded.
I mean, it looked like it was Japan. That was the Japan game. No, Spain was the Japan game. But Germany won. That's right. I'm sorry, Germany won, and they still.
But they didn't get enough goals. Yeah,
they looked like somebody just came and took their lunchbox. Like they were all just so, I mean, and you don't want to laugh at somebody, right? But they just looked so dejected. Like they just sat there and just didn't even know what to do with themselves.
I would look out for them next time around, because Jamal Musiala is the real deal, and he's coming. He's young.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of young players. I mean, whatever happened these last 2 times, they'll, I'm sure, have a change of coach. And next time around, I don't imagine we'll see Germany out in the group stage.
Who was it? Was it the Belgian coach that resigned like 5 minutes after the game?
Him and Tata both.
He said at the beginning of the tournament that this was going to be his last.
Okay. I was like, game over. And then 5 minutes later, I'm getting a notice that says he's resigned as manager. And I'm going, what? So
I mean, I don't know that he would have had a choice at this point. I mean, when you're literally number 2 and you don't make it out of the group stage, even if he wasn't planning to, I don't think you keep that job. I mean,
sure.
There was 3.5 minutes today when it was going to be Costa Rica and Japan. That was insane.
Right.
I literally messaged our group chat to say that.
I got the text to prove it. All right.
If you're a Chelsea fan, how are you feeling about all these guys popping off at the World Cup and they can't play on your team?
I would explain it for those of us who don't know. Just explain it real quick.
So you got Pulisic, all right, who's going off for America.
Okay.
You've got Ziyech, who's having a great run there. Help me out with the other 2 names, as they're escaping me right now, because there's 4 guys that are playing fantastic. You got Havertz, okay, who had the 2 goals today. And I'm drawing a blank on the 4th one there. But all I know is if I'm a Chelsea club supporter, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Okay.
These guys aren't doing it for us.
So here we are with the question of the day. Okay. So great lead up, guys. Excellent thoughts, excellent information. So now let's break down US versus Netherlands. Okay. Netherlands has a really good squad. So let's start and let's work around the horn again. We'll start with Bill, go to Rue, and then Bart. All right. Go ahead, Bill.
All right. So I actually think this is a good matchup for us. I have a feeling we're going to play like we did last time, which is going to be, we can't score goals, so let's defend like hell. And whenever we get a counter, do the best we can with it. I think that's going to be the magic. That's going to be whoever's going to be the guy who's going to do that would be great. But I do think that this is actually a pretty good matchup for us. Louis van Gaal is a good technician. He's gonna be good with strategy. So that's gonna be tough. And I tell you, I like Gakpo. He's another one of those up and coming young players that somebody's gonna grab him, and he's gonna be a star someday. But really, other than that, and Memphis Depay, who hasn't been that impressive to me so far. I mean, he's done some good stuff, but I thought he would be dominating, kind of like you'd see with Mbappe for France or something like that. This is a game that we could surprise. But I think we're just going to have to defensively. We're just going to have to really hold true with watching out for wherever Gakpo goes. Tyler Adams is probably going to follow him. And that might not be a bad idea with everybody just take a look for him. I do like the possibility because I do think that the Dutch are a little slow on defense and maybe we can sneak something in. So I don't know. It's exciting. I'm excited. I think this is a good matchup for us.
Rue?
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're ranked way higher. Well, of course, I think my mic just cut off.
I can hear you.
We were hearing you.
Yeah.
That was weird.
You there?
Coming back.
There you are.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, obviously Netherlands ranked way higher. I mean, I agree with Bill in that they're favor us. Potentially the defense is a matchup that we can take advantage of, but I think we're gonna be playing for those opportunities, like Bill said, to just break out on a counter and take advantage of a moment. The part that worries me, I think, the most is Bill talked about how good Dest has been, but a lot of that has been getting forward. And so what I think we got to watch for is how much can he afford to do that? Because Netherlands especially likes to bring Daley Blind up that line and then bring that ball in to Cody, just like Bill was talking about. And so I think we might need to, make sure that Dest isn't getting quite so aggressive all the time, because he's just a motor going forward so often. And it's good. We need that at times, but I think in this game he's going to have to probably, maybe reel that in a little bit and defend a little more and get forward in those opportunities when they present them, but not quite as aggressively as he sometimes is. Because the Dutch thankfully are kind of like us in that they're not scoring a lot of goals. And that gives us that chance to play that defense and break out and get a goal, because I don't see this game being more than 2-1 or maybe 1-0. Honestly, I don't think anyone's gonna, pour in a bunch of goals in this game. So if we can get a goal, man, that's gonna change the whole look of this game, especially an early goal. Whoever does is gonna have a big advantage, obviously, but yeah, I think we have a chance. Better than we match up against a number of other, clubs that we could have, nations we could have faced. But yeah, it's going to take a very concerted defensive effort to pull it off.
All right, what you got, Bart?
I'm with you guys there, man. And I was really hoping we weren't going to play Senegal. I did not like their speed. We did not match up well with them. And the fact that we avoided Senegal, I think I celebrated for that fact alone. All right. I was really hoping that we were going to see the Netherlands there. And like I said, quality opponent. You're right. They're gonna have their stretches of possession. They're gonna move the ball around there. And like I said, we are back in our familiar role. We're the underdog. We're coming into the next round there. We're not expected to go out there and thrash the Netherlands. Okay, so we get to go back and be our American selves there. Take some pressure on, build up, get out of the back there, attack them there. I agree. This is a very formidable matchup. I saw a stat today that said the Netherlands have only had 8 shot on goals in 3 games. And I'm thinking, you played Qatar, you played Ecuador, okay, and you guys only found not the net, just the goalkeeper had to make saves or it was in the goal 8 times in 3 games. So like Randy said, this will probably be an extremely low scoring game. And who knows, this could have overtime, double overtime, or maybe even PKs written all over it. And I hope the hell it doesn't. I really hope we can take care of our business there and, find the back of the net. I liked how Pulisic was talking today, and they were like, man, did you have your Landon Donovan moment? And he goes, no, I have not had that moment yet. And I said, thank you. You're right. You have not. It was a great moment. It put us into the next round there. Bill, you hit the nail on the head with Tyler Adams, man. Unfortunately for Leeds, I feel like he won't be there too much longer. I love watching him play at Leeds. I think he's Jesse Marsh is lucky to have him there, but boy, he has been fantastic. Love watching him. He is an X factor in this game. And what can we do when we get that ball? And Honestly, I thought Josh Sargent had a great game against Iran up there until he got hurt. I thought that was one of our best games with our forwards out of the 3 games that we had. And I really hope his ankle is a hyperextended knee, whatever the case is there. I kind of hope he's ready to come back. And if he's not, will this be the game we get to see a little bit of Gio Reyna somewhere out there on the field, moving it around a little bit there? So, there's some questions out there, but I'm trusting in Greg, man. He didn't steer us wrong in Columbus with the crew. He's done a great job up there. And like I said, they're calling for his head right now at times, but boy, we're not going home. We're moving into the 16, and people need to relax and just enjoy the ride. And let's hope we can make it last a little bit longer.
Yeah. And that's
Did you hear what?
Go ahead, Bill.
I'm sorry. Did you hear what? Some of the guys were being interviewed on. I think it was. Oh boy, I can't remember if it was Fox or something like that after one of the games, and Tyler Adams was having a conversation with Berhalter, and Berhalter told him, and then I guess some of the other players overheard him. He said, "Just go ahead and unpack your things. We're staying for a while." Yes. And Adams said the minute he said that, we all kind of I looked at some of the other guys, and we just felt this. Okay, cool. We're good. Like we just had this, we were feeling this pressure is what I think he was kind of inferring. And then all of a sudden when Berhalter said, "Hey, unpack your stuff. We're going to be here for a bit." I think then the guys were like, "Cool. All right, good." I thought that was a really great way that a coach can kind of motivate his players with just one simple little line. He's chastised, he's ridiculed. I mean, I think we all are probably like, "Greg, what are you doing?" Like even the subs for that third game, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing here, Greg?" But he pushed the right buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if I had any concerns, it's about all the dings. We got 3 or 4 guys with dings right now. And we got a bunch of guys sitting on yellow cards too. I mean, that doesn't matter in this round now. Did they get cleared? I don't remember.
They don't. That's what I was hoping that they get cleared, but
Rue's shaking his head. Yes. Are they
You think
cleared
they-
after?
I thought they carried over to the next round.
Okay. All right. So then that's good. All right. So yeah, and I've been blessed enough. We have a really fun and exciting little chapter of the American Outlaws here in Akron. And I don't know. I'm not a member. I used to be a member for years and years and years, and then I just stopped paying. And I think when they didn't make the cup, I just stopped. But yeah, so fair weather, I guess. But yeah, nice little chapter, and they meet at Ray's in Akron. Bill, that's the bar that I met you at. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
and it's a nice environment, and it's packed. And I got to get there early. Like the bar opens at 9, games at 10. I got to get there like at 9:01 because I guarantee it was jam packed for the England game, and I know it's gonna be jam packed for this because it's a Saturday. So yeah, a good environment for us to watch it in, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a real exciting time for U.S. soccer, and just by having them win that, I mean, it's so cool. The women create the buzz, the men create a much bigger buzz. We know that's just the way it is, right? And for them to advance, and then for everybody across all of the United States in the sports world was talking about this team on the night of and the day after and the day after. It was on Sports Center, it was on PTI, it was on, I mean, you had athletes from every sport tweeting about US soccer, and that to me is a big boost in the arm for the soccer industry as a whole, for United States soccer. And it's guys like us, we've been doing this a long time, and we've been like, there's pioneers, and then we're that second group of pioneers, right? We've been working at creating that culture of soccer. And Bill, by covering Northeast Ohio, soccer is huge in the Dayton area and in the Akron and Cleveland markets, right? It's just a big deal for high school soccer. So yeah, I'm very happy with where we're at, with where we're going. And this team, they're so young, they're ahead of schedule. In a lot of ways, they remind me of both the Cavs and the Guardians. So it's going to be fun to see what they do. And let's just enjoy the moment, like you guys said. All right. So listen, I really appreciate it. It's all past our bedtime. This will be airing. I'm going to air it tomorrow in the morning. So people will be like, what are they talking about bedtime? All right. So I'm going to click the unrecord button here after I sign off, and then let's just stay on for a minute and debrief. All right. But thank you guys so much for joining me, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And if you're watching this and you made it all the way to the end, thank you for being a part of our United States soccer experience and 3 Throw to Go local coverage. All right. Take care, folks. Have a good night, everybody. And guys, say good night, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
There you go.